Wir hatten ja letztens, vor 2 Tagen oder so, das Video so über das Thriller-Drama. Aber ich wollte gerne noch ein bisschen mehr über das Game herausfinden. Mixtape. Auf jeden Fall geht es so ein bisschen darum, mit wie vielen Button Press man das Game durchspielen kann. I guess. Weil basically das Game halt in der Kritik steht, weil man es nicht wirklich spielen muss.
Hey, I got this thing here. Mixtape, a video game. Actually, it's barely a video game. Or is it? How do we even know? As a man of science, I have great interest in this. Behold, controller. Connect to console. Start game. Press buttons. Fun! Thus, can we operate under the thesis that more
Ja,
button
das kommt hin.
presses, more fun? This is our hypothesis today. Alright bro, settle down. I am your host today, Vivi the Drawn, and we shall find out how many button presses do you need to beat Mixtape. Refund ending, 3 presses. Fine, I'll play the game. Jeez, cartoons can suffer too, you know. To be serious though, I am doing this so that we can equate just how much of a game this product is. The only rule of the challenge is I touch the controller as little as possible. Yes, as we're about to find out, this game can often just play itself. My initial assumption, we won't need more than 100 presses. So let's actually start the game, and I'll put a little counter here. The first section is a skating scene.
What? What the fuck is happening? Keine Ahnung, was da passiert ist.
Game is steering for us here, as you can see. I'm not doing anything. Even this hard left turn isn't my doing. Then we get prompts saying we can push or ollie and also do tricks. Let me tell you now, only the ollie is useful. And here's our first obstacle. This oncoming car.
Oh.
If we hit it, the game isn't over, but we can't progress if we don't go over this one. So first press, we ollie over.
Alter!
Then we cruise for 3 minutes doing absolutely nothing until we run into this pole. And whether it's a car,
warte mal.
doing absolute first press, we ollie over it. Then
Also
we
passiert in der Zeit ja nicht mal wirklich was. Also, es gab ja Leute, die gesagt haben, es ist so Story-Game-mäßig. Aber es passiert ja legit
cruise
nichts.
for 3 minutes doing absolutely nothing until we run into this pole. And whether it's a car or a pole, same thing happens if we fail. The game just rewinds. So, to get past this one, I do a little ollie tech bounce. You would think an aerial bump would be worse, right? And that's the first section done. 2 presses total. And next up is the secret handshake. Wait, what in the... I pressed B first. It's because I'm using an 8-bit toe controller, so my A and B buttons are swapped. But as it turns out, you don't even have to press all these in order. Aren't secret handshakes supposed to have a sequence? Otherwise, you'd confuse your friend. Whatever, that's plus 6 presses. And next,
Man
we
kann es einfach
actually
in
have
mehrere
to
Reihenfolge
move.
drücken.
Do we count pushing the
Die Frage ist nur, ob das mit Absicht war oder nicht.
analog stick as a press?
Nah, it's not a press. Moving is inconsequential. Yeah, not a press. You can't lose by just moving. Not in this game, at least.
Okay, so I'm not gonna consider pushing the analog stick as a press. To progress here, we have to check at least one item in Stacy's room. 1 press to pick up, another to return. Then the cassette glows, 1 press on that to proceed to cassette winding.
They spin it the wrong fucking way, dude.
Gotta rewind it. Are you kidding me?
After the rewind is
Oh nein, oh
the
nein.
kissing scene. We have to watch this for 20 seconds before we can just press a button to proceed. Now let me tell you a
20
story, but
Sekunden geht
first I
das.
gotta, okay, better. As an actual human, I assume this can't last forever by itself because kissing requires effort. So, just to potentially save on a button press, I left this on for 30 minutes. It didn't stop. Don't do this. Don't do what I did. Save yourself some brain scarring. Alright, we're done with that. Next, examine this VCR to start a headbanging scene, where we don't have to do anything. Nothing happens if we don't rock out. 0 presses for this
Bruder.
scene. Although, this scene actually turns funny if you
Oder,
rock
also worum geht's überhaupt in dem Game? Ich habe das Gefühl, dass es keine Story gibt.
out as much as you can. Have a look.
Ah. Ah.
Next up, observe this rack of pics, find 3 other photos to add to the rack, 2 presses each, and 1 more press to actually add it, and proceed to the shopping cart bit. And I know this has already been memed on.
I'm holding my hand up. I'm not doing nothing. The game guides you. It directs you. I'm finna walk away. I'm finna put the controller down. I don't have to do anything.
And it's true. No press
Aber no joke. Wenn das actually Gameplay hätte, dann sieht das irgendwie funny aus, aber es hat halt keinen Sinn.
and no interaction at all needed throughout this 140-second gameplay segment. Riveting. Next up, examine the tape head graveyard with 1 press, which cues a cutscene with no gameplay. Examine the pinboard with 1 press, which we can also inspect, but wholly unnecessary. 1 more press to back out. Walk to another room to open this closet, and yeah, by now I think you get the general flow of the game. Examine critical object, and move on to the next bit. Get used to that. Examine this picture frame and start the slushy bit. And look, so many button prompts on screen. Yet we only need 1. Hold right trigger twice to fill 2 cups. And yeah, that's it. Turn the camera to examine this drawer, do this mini game of finding a piece of paper beneath junk. We only need to lift this notebook, then another press to pick up the objective, and retransition into a photo booth. We need to take pictures here, but the prompt won't actually show up until we move both
Also irgendwie haben die alle zusammengeworfen, was es gab.
characters at least once. So, Okay, there we go. Then finish the scene by taking 8 pictures. 1 press each. Examine this clam and find the key, then open the closet. And this triggers a walking scene, only made engaging by 4 moments where we have to climb over stuff. Then we have the airwalk scene. You can jump, which, you guessed it, unnecessary. Even at the parts where you're supposed to jump, the game just does it for you. Well, just out of curiosity though, I tried just walking straight the whole time, and I discovered 2 things. 1, this game has real heavy auto-correcting. This turn? Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's the game turning for me. And 2, you can't just go straight. You can actually get stuck in the geometry. Alright, moving on. Next is another skate scene, and a lot more complex. There's a lot more obstacles that'll block us. First, let's ollie over this pickup, and then we actually have to steer. I know steering only requires the left stick, but not steering here actually leads to a failure state, so I'll actually consider steering a press for this challenge. Ollie over 1 more car, and for the rest of the segment, we rely on the autocorrect to get us through. Like this sample, I am hitting a wall by doing nothing, but as you can see with each rewind, the game
Ich weiß nicht, wie weit in das ist. Ich glaube, das Game geht nur so 3 Stunden, oder? Aber wahrscheinlich so 1 Stunde in und 50.
actually adjust my facing slightly until eventually I just pass it. This will happen a lot during the remaining skate sessions. Besides that, do 1 more steer towards the end and we move on to throwing rocks. You see all that stuff in the background? Stuff that you can
Nächste Gameplay-Element wirklich Throwing Walks. Walks.
throw stuff at? Yeah, we don't have to touch those at all. All we have to do here is wait for the character banter to stop and then throw a rock to proceed. And you can throw it anywhere, the game doesn't care. Do this 3 times and then you can press a button to leave the scene. 4 presses total here. Examine this trophy with 1 press to initiate the baseball scene. Stacy bats first.
Also ganz kurz, es gibt Szenen in dem Game, die sich selbst spielen. Aber man muss nur den Knopf drücken, um zu leaven.
No pressing necessary here because after 5 strikes, the other girl takes over. Now we actually have to hit the ball. Now check this out. We can aim our swing, but can also just wait for the target to end up dead center. It has 9 spots total it can be on, so that's an 11% chance per pitch. Nothing happens when we miss too, so you can use as little effort as possible and still proceed, like I did. Once you hit 8 balls with 1 press each, you're done. Examine the detention slip in the bathroom with 1 press, then onto TPing a house. Yay, more riveting gameplay. We can throw, but we also don't have to. Just wait for the that's enough prompt to appear. 1 press and move on. This is so good! Examine this photo on the table, one press. Then this floating scene has nothing. Check this contract, then the window, cutscene with 0 presses. Talk to
Was
the
war
dude,
das?
and now we gotta insert some batteries into this camera. And this is by far the most involved we had to be in this game. We gotta pick up the camera to flip it, open the compartment, insert 2 batteries, close the compartment, flip it again, and turn it on. And that short section is 7 presses total. Onto an amusement park
Alter.
scene. Turn the power on with 1 press. And I tried to skip this area, but we actually have to take some photos or we can't move on. And taking 1 photo is just 3 presses each. 1 to turn on the lights, 1 to look at the viewport, and 1 to take the picture. Do this another time, so another 3 presses. Then power on this ride with 1 press. Climb over obstacles with 2 presses. Get an opportunity to go kaiju mode.
Ich habe das Gefühl, es passiert so viel zwischen den Presses.
0 presses. 1 last picture besides a Triceratops. And then we ride a Brontosaurus somehow. And not gonna lie, this is a pretty cool view. But oh, try to guess. How many presses here? That's right. 0. But now for the last and definitely most complex skating section. The difference here is we can now blow stuff up. A button prompt says LTRT detonates, and this
Was?
blows up the
Warum?
car in front of us, which we actually need to do. So, I assume this means press both triggers at the
Ich habe mittlerweile das Gefühl, die Story ist einfach irgendwas.
same time.
What the
But
fuck is
no,
das?
you can just press 1. But no, that's not right either. You can actually press any of the shoulder buttons. Are we now just being lazy with our button prompts? Game. Anyway, steer past this next car. Hard steer to avoid the school bus. Autocorrect through this garage. Blow up 2 more cars in our way, 1 press each. Steer here to avoid the fence to the left. Autocorrect through the ramps. Blow up the mall doors. Steer here to avoid the pillar to the left. Ollie here to pass the light post. Then 2 last autocorrects through this sewer gate and an oncoming car. In total, 9 inputs. That's all the skating sections done, and next up are several mini games. Examine this paint set with 1 press, and now to paint the door. All you have to do here
Ich find's by the way krass, das ist so das Game mit dem wenigsten Gameplay ever. Und falls man es schafft zu verkacken, dann tut er einfach so 1 Sekunde zurückspulen.
is paint a minimum area, and I find that painting upwards and to one side is just enough. 1 press to push the roller down, and 1 press to exit. Examine this couch, 1
Ach so.
press, and
Okay.
flashback to
Das
moving the
reicht
couch
natürlich.
around. The game says we can use both analog sticks to move the couch, but of course, I find that you only have to use 1. I finished this by having the girl do all the work. Then 1 button press to put it down. And with this, we've actually passed 100 presses. Now the only question is, how much higher will we go? Maybe 150? Maybe 200? Let's find out, cause we're almost done anyway. Examine this car with 1 press, and now a slingshot game. We have to hit all the bottles and cans, there's 13 of them in total, but you can actually ricochet the cans onto the bottles, hitting multiple targets with 1 shot. I didn't do this though, since we already passed 100. I'll be generous to the game and assume the minimum is 13 presses. And finally, examine the fire pit to start a leaf sweeping game. Remove all leaves from the circle. This one section in the
Alter.
game is the hardest to optimize, and I have to admit I did not do so, because really it's not worth it. 22 presses total to finish this one. I don't want to do this again, this is boring. You went from 97 to 138. That last
Immerhin Actual Gameplay mal. Das war zwar boring, aber es war
section
was.
added 41 presses. 12 more and will total 150. And we've got 20% more to go in the game, so surely we can reach it, right? Well, let me illustrate what most of the remaining 20% is like. Yeah, like that. Check the cassette player, that's 1 more press. Then examine the videotape on the bed to move on to the VHS store scene. Our character here moves drunk, but that actually makes him move forward automatically, if ever so slightly. What we have to do here is get 2 of these blue cases, 1 press to aim and 2 presses each to grab a case. Then over at the back, we grab just 1 yellow case, that's 3 presses. Then shimmy over to the cashier to conclude this one. Then we go to a side-scrolling section, a auto side-scrolling section. Oh wait, no, it's auto-progressing side-scrolling section. We get prompts to slide and jump, but even if you do nothing, the game continues anyway. So yeah, another 0 press scene. We get some cutscene afterwards and onto driving with fireworks. Or supposed to be fireworks. Press to conduct fireworks. What happens if you don't? That's right. Nothing. 0 presses. Again, a 100%
Oh,
done
yeah.
rate from those rockets. Hope you can get a refund. And as this scene was about to end, something happens. Something I assumed would happen, and I'm proven right. Our last interaction with the controller was at the VHS store. And as you just saw, the last several scenes required nothing of us. It's been like that for so long that my controller actually timed out. It shut off automatically, meaning it hasn't gotten any input in the last 15 minutes. And just to show I'm not
Oh,
lying, I actually replayed this section. Replay, what a joke, right? I did it just to record this footage. As you can see right there, the green light turns off, signifying my controller timed out. You know, I am glad that my assumption was right, but I'm also sad at how pathetic this is. And it won't get any better. The next bit, a bit where we
Das ist
record a
wirklich
party,
traurig.
we don't have to press anything either. We just have to point our camera to points of interest. There's 13 of them in total. Yeah, you can grab beer, gesture with your hands, high-five people. All fluff. No stakes. You cannot lose. Actually, no. I lose automatically because I'm playing this game. And then more prompts to conduct fireworks, and again, not required, so 0 presses again. Then we fly to the
die
sky
fallen
and the
einfach
game
runter.
says we can barrel roll. I press nothing and it does it for me anyway. And you know that I didn't press anything because if I did, the prompts would go away. But now we're at the final scene, and just before the game ends, just before the final prompt, my controller timed out again. Brilliant. Let's finish
Bruder.
this challenge by walking forward a little bit and 2 final presses to trigger the ending. So we have our answer. Mixtape can be finished with 150 button presses.
Als ob es genau
So now
150
that we've
sind.
done that, let's answer the question. Does that qualify this product as a video game?
One Press. Einmal drücken. Digga, das ist krank.
I'm not here to review Mixtape. I'm just here to entertain. The devs can do whatever they want, but this whole mess with Mixtape started when IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. I hate IGN reviews nowadays. They're so disconnected from what actual players value, but back on topic. You could argue that only 150
Natürlich ist das eine 10 von 10, weil das erste Game ist, was sie durchspielen konnten.
button presses to finish a 3-hour game is too little. That equates to 1 press every 72 seconds. That is abysmal. But instead, I argue 150 is actually too much. And it is 150 presses too much to be precise. It should be 0 presses. This did not need to be a video game. Compare this to other narrative-focused games like Life is Strange or Telltale's The Walking Dead. In those games, you have choices and they change future events. In Mixtape, you are hemmed in. There are no significant choices. You're just going for the ride. Your only choice is you can raise your hands and scream. You will end up in the same place regardless. At least it's over now. I can wipe this from my hard drive and never touch it again. Oh, wait, what's this line here? Beethoven and Dinosaur would like to acknowledge the people as the traditional owners of the land on which
Was? What the fuck? So, fragen, warum ist hier Epic Games oder Unreal Engine? Warum sind 2 der Lines über Epic Games? Das ist krank. Digga. Ich hoffe, der Anfang der Reaction war drin. Gerade eben im Stream. Aber, ciao, ciao.